There are people out there who think that Sixto Sanchez is going to be the next Pedro Martínez, despite the fact that they've never seen a pitch. We love our prospects. We covet them. We want to hold them tight. We want to rub their head. We don't want to see them go. I know. But let me just run you some names, okay? Domonic Brown, Jared Cosart, Kyle Drabeck, Joe Savory, Jesse Biddle, Brody Colvin, Tyson Gillies, Michael Taylor. All these guys are supposed to be great, and they didn't pan out either. You just never know with these prospects. Obviously, sometimes they do pan out. Paul Hamels, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, to name a few. You just never know. But in my opinion, I think this was the right call today. Sixto Sanchez, Jorge Alfaro, Will Stewart, and I guess international pool money for JT Realmuto, who is the best catcher in the game. And again, he's going to hopefully increase your likelihood of potentially landing Bryce Harper. So, the thing about Sixto, look, I get it. I mean, the potential off the charts. He's obviously the number one prospect on the Phillies, but he's also a top 25 prospect in baseball, number 13, according to Baseball America. And Keith Law says he's got the easiest fastball out of all the prospects. It's 100 plus. He's got a changeup. And, there you go. And the reason why he gets compared to Pedro Martínez is because of his smaller stature. He throws hard, and he's got a great changeup. But here's the thing, and here's the question that I have for Sixto Sanchez moving forward. And this has been a huge problem for a lot of these young pitchers in even the last decade. Elbow problems. You're throwing the ball too hard. You got too much torque on those ligaments in your elbow. And we're seeing more Tommy John surgeries than ever. I'm not saying that, Sixto is eventually going to need Tommy John surgery, but we'll see. He only had 8 starts this year. Had an elbow inflammation, and, we'll see about that. But this is something I wanted to talk about because Pedro Martínez never, ever had elbow trouble in his entire MLB career. And this is a good bit from Pedro Martínez that I want you guys to listen to. Pedro Martínez giving out tips on how to save your pitching elbow.
So strong. You don't have the proper mechanics and a lot of power towards the plate, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing right now a lot of young players, a lot of young pitchers throwing 95 to 100, but the ligaments inside, because of their age, are baby ligaments. They're not developed properly. And not only that, it seems like the old school little exercises that we did to strengthen
the small muscles and the small things. You want to get these strong. Not your chest, not your bench press, not your, right?
Well, you have an example right here. I was never big. I never bench press, but I never had any elbow problems. My elbow's still straight. Some of those kids you see nowadays are little.
They can't extend their arm
all the way because of the big muscle mass that they put on, and the ligaments stay weak. So what they do, they shrink. When you force it with a lot of power, you break them.
So there you go, Pedro Martínez. With some interesting thoughts there on the pitching elbow and why so many young pitchers are getting Tommy John surgery these days. So, look, I'm sure that the Phillies organization, they might know about some of these red flags, and it might have been easier to part with Sixto Sanchez. So, we'll see about that. Now let's move on to JT Realmuto. And there's some people who don't really know who JT Realmuto is. He's stuck in Miami. And when you're stuck in Miami, nobody's going to know who you are unless you're like Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, Christian Yelich, Marcell Ozuna, all those guys were in Miami before, and man, what could have been, huh? But JT Realmuto, now Philly. And the thing about him is his splits on the road are a lot better than they are at home at Marlins Park. Marlins Park, one of the toughest ballparks to hit in Major League Baseball. So I've got numbers here from Realmuto. So from last year, he had 277, on base percentage 340, slugging 484, OPS of 825, slammed 21 homers, 74 RBI, and 74 runs scored, and a WAR of 4.3. Now, his home and away splits, again, Marlins Park being a lot tougher to hit in, and obviously coming down to Philadelphia, it's going to be easier to hit in Citizens Bank Park. So in 262 away games, he's got 37 homers as opposed to 22 in 242 home games. On the road, hitting 309 with an on-base of 356 and slugging 492, whereas opposed to home, he's 245, 294, and 384. So you can see right there, his numbers are going to look better, I think, in Philadelphia than they have the last couple seasons in Miami. Because if you really look at Realmuto's numbers, and you might look at him like, what's so great about this guy? And I will say this, he's the best catcher in the game right now, but there's not a lot of great catchers at the moment. But Buster Posey, we're not talking about Buster Posey's here. It's just that some of these guys are just not as good as they were even like 10 years ago. So I just think that the catchers right now are just a little bit down. Speaking of other catchers, Jorge Alfaro, obviously, also included in this deal. There is potential for him to potentially be a top 10 catcher. The potential is still there. The issues with Alfaro were obviously blocking balls in the dirt, pass balls. His strikeout rate of 36.6% is very high, but he had a 2.1 WAR. A 2.1 F WAR is what it was. And his exit velocity was really good. It was 91.6 miles an hour. It was 23rd among all major league players. So, Alfaro here, there's still some potential with him, but we'll see. So with Realmuto, you've got him under control through the 2020 season, whereas Alfaro is under team control through 2023. So there's that. All right, those are basically my thoughts. I guess the other thing that people are saying for not wanting to trade Sixto right now, and this is a good point. I'll give it to him. Obviously, just if something happens during the season, if there's an injury, or even to improve your ball club at the trade deadline to make a run in the second half of the season. You don't have a blue chip prospect anymore if you're the Phillies. Sixto was it. That was your last piece. That was your last trade chip. So Phillies right now, they're all in. They're being bold. They're going for it. But if they can land Bryce Harper, this trade, 100% worth it. So we'll see what happens in the next coming weeks. We'll see if Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, if they make their decision and one of them comes to Philadelphia, maybe both of them come to Philadelphia. But if neither of them come to Philadelphia, then all of a sudden I wouldn't be as crazy about this trade. But, we'll see how everything plays itself out. I wasn't crazy about Andrew McCutchen, that whole thing. But all these other signings that they've made, I've been a fan of. And I like this move for the time being. We'll see if Bryce Harper, Manny Machado, if they come to Philadelphia. Those are my thoughts on JT Realmuto. I'm out. Peace.